podcast flow. Sunday afternoon at 2 to 3 p.m. slot. Got the Interstate 95 Turnpike hot. When you tune in, they don't just entertain. They come with the message that presses the brain. Those other podcasts, they seem microscopic. Cause they're the big dogs that drop the hot topics. So sure, be more dumb. You just stay ready. With DJ Boom, Shaheem, and Montemi. Put them together, there's a treacherous streak. From the tri-state area to the DMV. So sit back, relax, get your Sundays on. On after morning, gone before dawn. That positive vibe that we hitting so strong. With this podcast show, you can't go wrong. So, here we go, here we go. Here we go, here we go. Here we go, here we go. Here we go. What's up, everybody? What is going on?
Turn your echo down.
Sorry we late today on this beautiful Sunday morning, but it's good to see everybody back for this. What's up, everybody? And if you've been following, then you know I'm not in my usual studio. I am at my sister's house in beautiful Elkton, Maryland, attending a party that we're throwing for my nephew Kyrie, who we haven't seen in years. So we're having a great time. We're just starting to serve food and everything. So as soon as I get off of this, that's when the eating's going to start. How is everybody doing today?
Fantastic.
I'm happy.
Good. I'm glad everybody's happy. Sunshine is a beautiful day. It's a good reason to be happy.
Yes. What's up, everybody?
DJ Boom Boom.
That's right. And for those who don't know, I am the one and only Shaheem, like it says so below.
And I am Deborah Singletary, aka Aunt Debbie.
Yes,
The
indeed.
true
The Treacherous
one.
Three of the DMV.
Absolutely.
And we are back with you once again. And it's good to see everybody back with us. What's going on, everybody?
So y'all see today I went hard in the paint. You know I usually don't do this and expose myself to the world. But yes, these are my glasses.
Look good.
I thought you had your father. I thought that was your father for a minute.
Right?
Yeah, fooey. Don't try to make me feel good. Don't threaten me
You
with
look good. You look good, man.
I can't stand these things, brother.
And truthfully, I need glasses too.
I had to get my eyes a break. I've been wearing contacts for a long time. I had to get my eyes a break. So here I am with my glasses. It feel good though. I'm gonna tell you that. My eyes
you
is
can
feeling
see.
wonderful.
I usually wear mine either at night when I'm driving, stuff like that. Otherwise, I should be wearing them all the time, but I don't. I'm gonna have to start being more like you, I guess.
I won't have them on tonight when I go out, though. I'll tell you that. I will not have them on.
You sound like you just as vain as conceited as I am.
If your lenses are giving you trouble, contact me later. I could tell you what to do about that. Your contacts.
The contact lenses. Oh, no. So what happened was I haven't been changing them as much as I should. I'm able to sleep in them, but after 30 days, I need to change them. And it'll be like 60, 80 days before I change them. So that's the issue in and of itself. I don't change them when I should be.
Okay, well, you look good in glasses, but don't even sweat that. Don't even sweat it.
Well, thank you, cousin. Thank you. Thank you, auntie, as well. I appreciate it.
And solidarity.
We got a lot to talk about today, but before we jump into it, let me just go over a few things real quick. Again, last week's show was on hip hop. It was great. I want to congratulate SJ Dub on his release. So if you guys want to get his music, check him on YouTube and things like that. The song is "What They Mad For." Go check that out. It was a great show last week, and if you missed it, you can get us on all streaming platforms. And so you go back and watch the show while you're doing whatever you're doing during your work week. You can go back and listen to it. Even if you missed this one, you can go back, check us out, and listen to the show. We encourage you to do so. Like I said, we're available everywhere. And we don't want y'all to miss what we're working on.
Absolutely not. It's unacceptable.
Also, don't forget to subscribe. We trying to get our YouTube subscribers up. So please, not just watch the show. Go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. All right, help us out as we try to grow this thing. We in this for y'all, not just for us. Believe we want to give y'all the best topics out there and heat up your Sundays for you. Get you going. And like I said today, there's a lot to talk about. What were you saying, Boone? I'm sorry.
I was about to ask Auntie, is that one of the dolls she made?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
It is. She's called the daughter of Oshun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that name have a special meaning?
Well, Oshun in Yoruba, Ifa religion in Yoruba is a goddess of thunder and lightning and strong winds. And
Okay.
in that pantheon, she has particular colors. So I'm not sure what they are. So I said I'm gonna make her the daughter of Oshun. So none of the Orisha people,
Yeah.
or could say to me, "That's
Yeah.
wrong."
Yeah.
I said, "That's her daughter. She's different."
Now, can you make those in not a likeness, but in favor of a particular person? Like, if I wanted a doll like that made up of my wife, could you do that?
You know what? I do something. I'll show you some pictures where I could use her likeness. I absolutely could. It wouldn't be like this though.
Right.
For one thing, it's that would take a lot of time for me. And it's not something I do all the time, but I have something I could do for you.
Okay. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful doll. It really is.
Thank you.
Like I was saying earlier, today we got a lot to talk about. It's a big topic. Why don't you introduce our topic for us to speak on, Debbie?
Well, I like the topic that you gave it. I think you called it faith, that it's more about faith than it is about religion. When, I've been told that there are two topics that one shouldn't talk about at a dinner party. Religion was one and politics was the other. So, but I'm going to add a three these days, COVID and the vaccine. So don't bring that up if you don't want people arguing. But because, for religion is such a loaded subject for many of us, we don't want to trigger anyone. And so we're not going to be talking about religion as much as our personal journeys. And I'd like to start with mine. This is inspired by Shaheem, by the way, and his amazing courage, his vulnerability. So he's got me thinking about this. I was born on April 27th, 1952. And so I was born into having a mother and a father. I had siblings. So that was all I knew. And then I grew up to know how many grits and eggs and bacon and white rice and white bread. So, I'm trying to set it up how we begin to take things for granted or as truths. And certainly Thanksgiving, I didn't know for the pilgrims, I knew more for the food. And of course, Christmas, which for me was about toys, especially as a kid. But then there was Jesus, and people would say, "Jesus, oh Lord," So in a sense, I grew up in this environment where everybody was a Christian. So I guess if someone asked me, I was a Christian too. I didn't know any different. And then, one day I heard that if a child wasn't baptized, even a child not baptized in the Christian faith, that she would, go suffer an eternal hell. It so happens that my three older siblings have been baptized. I got skipped, middle child. What do I know? And then the three younger children were baptized. So when I heard that I was going to burn in hell if I should happen to die,
Wow.
I thought about that, and it was terrorizing. But there was something wrong about it, and so I had my first independent thought, and I said, you know what? I don't believe that. It was a little risky to believe that because I certainly, if there was such a thing as hell, I didn't want to go there. And then, one maybe a year or so after that, I was in the bathtub trying to decide whether I believed in God or not. Is there a
Okay.
God? Is there not a God? And it was sort of very disturbing. I couldn't make the case that there was no God, but I couldn't make the case that there was a God.
Right.
And so I decided that I would be an agnostic, which I took to mean, not decided either way. And then I said, but I'm going to be the best person I can be. You might say, just in
Uh,
case they were gone.
right.
But I thought I don't need God for me to be a good person. I don't need to have fear
Right.
of God. I only need to decide who I want to be. And that settled it for me. And for many years after that, I went around, and told myself I was an agnostic, but I
Mm-hmm.
certainly wouldn't tell that to Aunt Maybelle and Uncle Brother.
Mm.
Um, if anybody asked me, first of all, nobody asked me. They just assumed I was a Christian, and I didn't say, I'm agnostic, or I'm not sure I believe. And then one day I began to say that I am not a Christian. Sometimes I would say I'm
Mm.
culturally a Christian because I adore gospel music
Right.
and I like some of the rituals in a church. But ultimately, I came to have my own independent path, my
Right.
own way of being in the world. But after that struggle in my youth, I considered a struggle: is there a God or is there not a God? Am I going to burn in hell? That was the beginning of my being on a spiritual path.
Right.
But I defined it. It's about how I feel about it. And the same way, I don't eat white bread and white rice anymore. There was
Okay.
a time in my life I ate rice every day because that's how I grew up. I didn't question it. So
Right.
as we mature and as we grow, we might question some of those beliefs that we took for granted,
Mm-hmm.
which is that white rice. You have to eat it. You have to eat it every day. So on
Yeah.
the show, when I heard Shaheem identify his belief system differently, I was really curious. But
You can go ahead. You can go ahead and tell everybody. Everybody who knows already know.
no, no, no. Well, I'm going to let you. I'd like to know. I'd like
Okay.
you to share with us. I'd like to know, but please share with us, what is how do you identify your faith, and how did you get there?
Okay. Um. Okay. Fine. Uh. For those who know me, you already know. But for those who don't know me, I am an atheist, and I've been an atheist for a very, very long time. It's not that I didn't grow up in church. I'm me, like most of us, black people. I mean, grew up in church. Yeah, I can remember going there Sundays, sometimes even during the week, especially Easter. You had to be there. I can remember being there New Year's Eve sometimes. I've sang in the choirs. I've led songs in the choirs. I was actually pretty popular in church as far as participating in things, different plays and events that would happen. I can remember as a very, very young kid, my my great grandmother uh, taking us to Sunday school. Just so we're taught faith, religion, whatever you are, because although there these faiths that dominate the world, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and to some degree Buddhism, we're taught that from the day we arrive on this planet, depending on what your household believes. And you're also taught, especially as a child, not to even question, don't even bother. You just follow along. When in Rome, do as the Romans. Uh, but for me, I question everything, always have. Um, and so for me, as I started going through school, science started playing a big role in what I believed in and didn't believe in. Again, I won't knock anybody for their faith or what they believe in. Whatever makes you happy, whatever makes you good, whatever makes you comfortable, that's all fine. But at the same time, don't knock someone else if they don't believe the same. Um, as good as the intention is behind religions, let's all be good to each other, all so on and so forth. The truth is that's not the case. That's not the case. Uh,
You know, I love definitions. What is an atheist?
that is a good question. I mean, I found that there were more than one definition. One person say one thing, one say. I can only tell you me. I don't believe that there is a higher power out there that controls what we do on this planet. For me, that makes no sense at all. If you believe in that, you have faith in that, then that's fine too. Because again, whatever makes us good people at the end of the day, whatever gets us to that point, I'm all for it. Because I think most of us at the end of the day, we just want to be genuinely good people. We want to go about our lives happy, smiling, and be good people, good to one another. We want to live in good communities. Good. So whatever's bring us to that point, I'm all for it. But at the same time, the idea that there's a higher power out there for me is a little crazy. And I'm just gonna be honest. And I shied away from doing this for a long time. And Boom will tell you, and Boom, you can jump in. When we first started this show, we talked about the topics that we would do. Religion was one of the ones that we agreed that we would not, because of how passionate people are about their religions and their faiths. And it's across the board. Christians can become passionate and violent about their faiths. Muslims, as we've seen, they'll call a jihad in a minute if you insult Allah in any way. And it goes across the board. But I won't question anybody's belief system. I grew up in church. I had a great time. I had great memories. I loved the dressing up, being honest. Dressing up on Sunday, going being part of the crowd. That was all good. That was all good. It gave you a good sense of community, which is important for us Black people. Important for us because that's it was faith and religion that kept us together during slavery, and we were able to meet on the premises that we were going to church. That was one of the ways that we got to congregate because we weren't allowed to enslave. Master would fear that we would get together and come up with plans. So the only way they would allow us to is if we were worshiping their God. Let's say that, not ours. Worshiping their God. You know, so I get that big sense of community that church offers a lot of people, and it is a great feeling.
And little did the master know that many of the spirituals were codes, were used to communicate. Like there's a gospel song, "I won't torture you." I won't torture you by singing, but one of the songs is "Steal Away." Steal away to Jesus. I ain't got long to stay here. And so the master said, "Oh, they singing about dying. They're gonna go to Jesus." No, honey, they were singing about going north.
Fooled ya. Fooled ya. And so I get the sense of community that comes from gathering at churches and eating and being together. I get all that. I applaud that part of it. But just the simple idea that there's this great being out in the universe that's controlling everything, that's where you lose me.
Yeah. That's where you always lost me. Even as a kid, you both talked about being kids and what you've experienced. My mom and dad attempted to do the same thing. I never, almost like school, I never agreed with it. Like I feel like I've always been, I wouldn't say a black sheep because the black sheep's supposed to be like a bad seed or whatever. I never felt like a bad seed, but I always felt like I had a higher purpose to teach because I just never agreed with school. and I never agreed with the structure of church. And so I never liked it. Never ever did I agree to go. I never felt enthusiastic to go. None of it. And now getting ready to turn 49, I'm definitely on a different plane, and I don't acknowledge titles, so I'm not calling myself atheist. If somebody want to call me that, fantastic, thumbs up to you. I'm not. I'm nothing. I'm Sekou Singletary. That's what I am. DJ Boom. You want
Mm.
to call me something? That's what I am. Period. Because some things I can acknowledge, like Shaheem said. Other things, like for me, you got to make it make sense. I had a Jehovah's Witness knock on my door a few years back, about 10, 15 years ago. And, everybody felt like, oh, you waking me up early in the morning, blah, 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 blah. So this time I said, I'm going to talk. I said, listen. I will talk to you as long as you want me to. If you can just answer one question for me. And of course, they pumped now. They're like, sure, because we about to talk for hours. I said, if you can tell me how humans was here, dinosaurs was here, dinosaurs was gone, humans came back. If you can explain that whole thing to me, we could talk for days. They told me to have a good day, and they won't knock on my door again. And they didn't. Stuff gotta make sense to me. You know what I mean? It just has to make sense. What you're saying over here doesn't make sense over there. This is bonkers to me. So of course we know the whole structure of the church thing was to keep an eye on, try to contain what we talked about, what was spoken about, blah, 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 so they can monitor you, whatever the case may be. But I never agreed with the structure. I never agreed with it. I absolutely do not believe there's somebody sitting in the sky controlling all of the stuff that's happened down here.
Mm.
You don't like me no more after that, then you don't like me no more, because I'm going to stand by who I am, and this is who I am. I absolutely don't believe that. I also don't believe that there's a being down under us waiting for us to mess up to come get us. I don't believe that either. I don't believe in the devil, and I don't believe in God. So it's like all of those are fictitious, made up things to keep people under control to me. And I don't acknowledge the being kept under control thing. You know what I mean? So it is what it is for me. I had somebody tell me I'm not going to be blessed because I don't go to church. I said, that's interesting, because I got 3 beautiful daughters that's healthy. I got all of my siblings here that are healthy. I got a mother, aunt, plethora of cousins. That everybody's just doing their thing. So if those are not blessings, then keep those coming to me. Keep them coming. If those are not blessings, keep them coming to me, because those are things that I want. I'd rather dance with the sinners than dine with the saints, because sinners have more fun. You know what I mean?
My sense of things is that a lot of people who teach religious thought are using words that assume a meaning. That's why you'll see me often look up words, because when you hear the word being, it does make us think of one, like a being, something solid or solid-ish that we would call God. But what do you think of the cosmos? What do you think of the universe? You've seen pictures of the galaxies with this, black matter. What do you think that is?
For
Well,
me, but
those are
I'm sorry.
living organisms to me, like plants. It's like saying a plant is not a being. It's a being. It's a living, breathing thing. Because we don't identify how it lives and breathes, doesn't mean it's not living and breathing. Because if we stop moving around, those plants and trees will grow through these houses, through the streets, through everything. And civilization as we know it, as far as streets and buildings, all it will be gone. There'll be nothing but vegetation and plant life. So yeah, so I definitely acknowledge those are living beings, just in a different form.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the universe because a lot of religions are born in the universe in the way that a lot of religions were born as a way to explain away the things that they didn't understand. I'm talking about early man, people. And listen, while we're talking, we want everybody out there listening, join in the conversation, add to the comment section. We want y'all to be a part of the program. It's a big topic, and we want to hear from you guys too. So again, uh, a lot of religions or a lot of parts of religion was born out of the fact that they couldn't explain away some things. And so volcanoes, there must be this higher power that causes them to erupt. Why does the sky turn colors or whatever? It must be this great power that's controlling things. That why does so and so pass away and so live? There must be this great power that's controlling things on it. So a lot of religions were born as a way to explain away things that modern man, that early man just couldn't understand. But as we started becoming smarter, if you want to call it that, and learning more, and started teaching ourselves and investigating things further, we started solving a lot of these things ourselves. Ourselves. What's that shooting across the sky in the middle of the night? Well, we found out through science that they're comets. That they're comets. What makes the sun come up in the day? Well, science tells us that the Earth is revolving around the sun and it spins on an axis and it turns around to the dark side, to the light side. As we started learning, we started explaining away these things. Now, people will let go of religion for a number of reasons. A number of reasons. One of the big reasons, in my opinion, and please comment, people, if you disagree, it's all right, I can take it. One of the reasons, money. Money. There is a lot of money involved in religions. No matter what religion you're involved in, there is a lot of money there. Catholics. The Vatican has a whole city. A whole entire city devoted to the Pope. Black churches are no different. We saw that offering plate go around sometimes 2-3 times during the service. We all know about the building fund. We all know about that. There's a lot of money there. And so as long as there's going to be money there, people won't even question it because they're taught that again from the day they're born, not to.
Right.
Yeah, and it also makes people feel better about those things that are not explainable,
Yeah,
such
it makes
as
you feel
God.
better.
I've often heard Christians talk about and sing about being with Jesus. And
Mhm.
I remember when my father was on his deathbed, my aunts, Aunt Viola, or maybe the children may not appreciate me. Well, his sisters came to see him, and actually he was in the hospital, and they were saying, hold on, Pete,
Mhm.
hold on,
Mhm.
hold on. And I thought, you want to be with Jesus? Like,
Right.
you were saying about how you want to go to Jesus. He want to go now. So I often saw the I can't think of the word, but sometimes things, as you would say, they don't really make sense. They're not logical. And that is because emotionally, we can console ourselves with the idea that we're going to go see Jesus
It
when
makes
we
us a
die,
lot more comfortable with that.
except when it's time to die. And many of us say, save me, Jesus. I'll see you later. I'll see you in
Yeah.
another 100 years.
It makes it a lot more comfortable, the idea of death. It makes it a lot more comfortable if we believe that we're going to go to this beautiful place in the sky. It makes it a lot more comfortable, doesn't it? No one really wants to hear that the actual truth is and that you're going to turn to dust. No one wants. That's not cool. That doesn't make you feel good. It makes you feel good to know that you're going to go to this place in the sky, this beautiful place. It also is easier to control the masses. Hear me out. It's also easier to control the masses and get them to kind of do the things you want. If you're telling them that they're going to burn in hell if they don't. Um,
Mhm.
oh yeah, absolutely. It's easier for the pastor to control his flocks if he's yelling up there. If you don't do as such and such says, you're going to burn in hell. But if you follow what I'm saying, You're gonna go to this beautiful place in the sky. And meanwhile, pass the offering plate.
Right.
I'm being funny, people. So don't be
Right.
too. you know, and all these things led to me
So,
to my belief.
there are
Uh,
concepts about, people translate the Bible literally. So literally,
mm,
they think that there is such a thing as a heaven. But
mm,
people who are true spiritual leaders, and I go with spiritual more because it's a concept, they can look a little more deeply into things, even including science. So a lot of the idea of heaven is really, in many spiritual thoughts, is how we live on this planet. If I get off this podcast
mhm,
and I'm angry with Boom because he didn't take me to breakfast yesterday, and I'm angry and I'm sulking and I'm calling him names, I have placed myself in a hellish position emotionally. So many of the grudges that we hold could be considered against people, could be considered hell, because it is really painful to hurt, to hate, or it's painful to hold a grudge. So in many religions don't believe that heaven is a place that we go to.
mm,
They are really wanting to teach that heaven is a state of mind, that
mm.
that
I've
that
heard.
heaven is a grasp of the heart, and we are in heaven when we love. I'm in heaven when I eat. And
That.
Boone did take me to breakfast. Thank you very much. I loved it. So I'm in heaven when I'm in my passion. And so it is not a place, but perhaps a state of mind. Now, of course, I'm not trying to sell this to you guys, but what I'm wanting you to understand is that many of us have been exposed to a very narrow concept of
Yes.
religion, and that perhaps if we were educated about religion differently, or spirituality, that we could find some useful ideas in it.
Yes. Absolutely. Like I said, I mean, I wouldn't knock anybody for any religion that they believe in. If that makes you a better person, then hey, go for it. Go for it. It's just that I feel the way I feel about these things. I don't. You don't have to be like me. At the end of the day, like I said, I think we're all striving just to be better people and
Right.
live in good communities.
Day in and day out. That is
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
that's what drives me.
Yeah.
But also when you talk about churches, though, and again for me, another thing that used to bother me was the hypocrisy, the sheer hypocrisy that went on in the church. I mean, as far as pastor's married, but he's backslide with sister so and so. What? Don't get me to talking. Don't,
Or
don't, don't,
brother
don't,
so and
or,
so.
or
Right.
brother
Well,
so.
brother so
Whoa! Don't get me to talking. And we all
Drugs.
we all know. It was crazy to see people who would act one way for a few hours on a Sunday, and then be so worldly all the rest of the week. And he being there repenting. That's the way you forgive your sin.
right. Like
The sheer hypocrisy of it
you
all.
you're not going out and stabbing people up all week and then go to church and then all that's
And then
wiped
go to church
away.
on
We take the
Sunday.
dry erase board and erase it,
Right,
and now you got
right,
a clean slate again. Like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't work that way.
right.
If wrong is wrong.
Even if as I said in Sunday school, the many parents they used to send their children to Sunday school, but they never showed up to church. But they
Right.
Yeah,
never
my
showed up.
mother was one of those. I think they sent us to Sunday school so that they could have sex on Sunday
And you
morning.
just may be
You
right.
know, I mean, that's kind of what I thought. And when I did go to church, they had this big stained glass window that
Mm,
said, "Suffer the little children unto me," and it was a picture with Jesus and children. And I remember being like, "Oh my God." Suffered a little children, and I had suffered. Um, Even though I was poor, I wouldn't say that poverty was what um, was suffering from me,
right,
but
right.
but I was beaten as a child. I experienced child abuse at the hand of a Christian, let's say. But later I came to understand that I had a childlike interpretation of what it meant to suffer, and it didn't mean what my little girl had saw. But unfortunately, there was no system in place for me to go to someone and say, I feel uncomfortable about that. What does that really mean? Because a lot of times there are beautiful meanings in the Bible that help us to live better and more intelligently,
Right.
more beautifully. One of my favorite quotes is, um, this ground, and there are more religions than Christianity, but some Bible verses got to me. The land on which we stand is holy ground. I think it's the burning bush. Now, what I take that to mean is that where I am in my life, whether I'm hurting or hungry or poor or not enough educated,
Mm,
or whatever, that
right.
that is the springboard of my growth. And so, a lot of what we call religion really is healthy, could be seen as a healthy way of living. What God has put together, let no man put asunder. I take to mean if your marriage is divine, or see, I'm going to use these words because I do believe in God, but I don't believe in the God of the Bible necessarily. I believe in spirituality. I believe that I come from somewhere, so I'm going to have some basic understandings, which I call spiritual. And one of them is that if something is meant to be, nobody can really break it apart.
Mm,
Not even the people themselves. I don't know if they still say that when they marry people. Do they still say that? They used to say it in the old days.
I don't remember. I got married so many years ago. Um, so that's a good point to make. What one of
You
the
talking
things.
about the let no man put us under thing?
What God has put together, let no man put asunder.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that. Yeah, they still do say it because I've DJed many of them. But like when I got married, I told my mother I don't want to hear God nothing. I don't want to hear God brought it together. Jesus did. I don't want to hear any of that. None of it.
Hmm.
Because I don't identify with it. So I don't want. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to make it a church event. When I don't go to church, I don't even believe in the church. So
Yeah,
um, yeah, I don't want to make the wedding a church event. God, now everybody pray. No, we're not doing all that.
and,
But
and
there are many things that we believe
uh,
that may not have to do with church, but has to do with the things that were taught. Like earlier, when I said I grew up with hominy grits, I mean, so that was the food I grew up on. So to me, that was health. That was food. And now I learned that hominy grits may not be that healthy for you. But there are a lot of sayings. For example, if two women are approaching a door, they'll say age before beauty, meaning the older woman goes in before the young woman. What they're really teaching, and therefore what many people believe, is that the young person is beautiful and the older person is not. I know I challenge
yeah, you look beautiful today. Yeah.
I know I challenged that one. But can you imagine you're growing up in a world where you're told that when you get older, you're going to be devalued? You're
Mm,
not going to be considered beautiful. Or some of our beliefs about men and women, which a lot of that stuff comes out of the church, but what we know it as is I'm the man, and therefore this is my responsibility, and you're the woman, and that's your responsibility.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that we believe that undermine our well-being, and it has nothing to do with religion, but what we grew up believing, what belief in poverty. Many of us who were born in poverty stay in poverty because poverty becomes sort of like a
It's
belief system.
like a habitual behavior. Uh,
Yes, and it's not questioned.
mm,
It's not questioned.
Well, I'm glad you talked about today's world, and the old world, because we were taught those things. I think today's world, the young people of today's world, I guess is what I mean to say, they're being brought up different than we were brought up. Obviously, there's a lot more around than than when we were kids. And I'm only saying that to say I think today's generations of kids and moving forward, they're going to start questioning more things than we did as young people.
well,
Because
they already
as young
have.
people, as young people growing up in our parents' homes, we do not dare question our parents about things like God. You get snapped, popped, everything else, to even dare to challenge that. But in today's world, I think these young people are more open to challenging things and not just sticking to the norms, and moving the needle maybe in a different direction.
My challenge was never verbal. My challenge was always physical. So I did like we went to Sunday school. I skipped out, went to McDonald's, got ice cream. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
my you know challenge wasn't verbal. It was physical. School. I didn't agree with it. I got up and left. I don't agree with it. I didn't sit there and mouth and say, "Hey, I don't want to be here. Oh, this is dumb. Why am I here?" Mm-mm. I just left. I just didn't go. And realizing now as a youngin, that young, and knowing things that I do now, even as an entrepreneur DJ, getting some of these gigs, I can take all the money I can get, but I will not sacrifice my happiness or my well-being for any amount of money or any gig. I won't sacrifice it. And people are like, man, they was paying you or they was giving you such. I don't care. Like I gotta feel good about coming here. I gotta feel good about what I'm doing and how I'm doing. I can't just be there because they're giving me X amount of dollars. And so even some of these young parties, I had a woman call me about a Sweet 16 party. I'll accept the party, but I'm gonna send another DJ to do it. 'Cause I'm not gonna. I don't want to be subjected to hearing the dark music all night long. Yeah, I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? And that's just me. Yeah, okay. They was gonna pay you $1,000. Yeah, they were, but is it worth it in the end overall for me and my reputation of how I am as a DJ? Is it worth it overall? It's no. I'm not willing to sacrifice those things. So I've never been verbal. I just am. I'm an action talker, I guess. I speak through my actions, and I just
But
don't do it.
the mentality of churches and things is that whole sheep and flock mentality. Whereas if you know sheep, I love farm animals, but if you know sheep, they follow the leader. If the one goes, they all start following right behind him. And we're taught that as young people, the same way with church, that you just follow and follow his instruction, and you don't even question. I challenge people to question it, even if you believe in the Bible as it says. If you see pastor not doing right, question it. Something not right. Something not right, and you should question it. The whole idea that people are taking away, you know, your ability to question things, well, not necessarily your ability, but even your idea to challenge something, says a lot. Says a lot. We are all individuals with our own minds. When you start taking away my thoughts and, and you're trying to control me as a person, that's serious. That's serious. You should definitely question things. You should want to know the answer to things. Um, in my opinion, at the
When
very,
Go ahead.
I know, just at the very least, when you're following the Quran or the Bible or Torah, whatever, and you seeing people who aren't living that way, question it. You should. You should.
When we started the show, Auntie said the word faith, and faith has so many different meanings besides a woman's name. That was a joke. Um, it
I
has
know
so
you
many
can't help.
different levels to faith
Hmm.
and trust. I had a conversation yesterday with young man that was going on and on and on about him and his wife in their current situation. And as I'm listening, I responded to him. I said, something that you did. So currently they live with his in-laws and he wants to move out with the in-laws. I said, but something you did earlier in your relationship caused you guys, or you guys did in your earlier in the relationship, caused you guys to have to move out of the place you were in to have to move in with the in-laws, right? And now you're trying to tell the wife, we need to get out of here. And she's not trying to budge because she lost faith in you. I'm not there. I'm not in your relationship. I don't know what happened. I don't know why it happened. I'm not asking you why it happened. I'm telling you the ending result. So she has faith in her mom and dad or whoever's there to know that she'll be able to be there and have a roof over her head and blah, 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 blah. You, as her husband, something happened to cause her to lose faith in you. And now you want her to step out of the house now for her to say, okay, well, what you going to do to keep a roof over our head? Because you said you was going to do this over here, but you didn't do it. And you said you was going to do that over there, and you didn't do it. One thing as men is we don't really be paying attention to what our job is. When we put faith in each other and you lose that faith, that's broken. It's not that you can't get it back, but you have to acknowledge that whatever you did, you made that person lose faith in you. So then you're mad now. And she don't, or he don't want to do da. Well, why doesn't he want to do it anymore? One of the major things that we don't do as people these days is talk to each other, like for real, talk to each other in relationships. We don't talk. We don't say things to each other because we think what we might say might hurt the other person's feelings, or it might do this, or it may trigger them in some way, or da. No, you got to have those tough conversations. You got to have them, or you won't really have a relationship, whether it's with religion, whether it's with your job, whether it's with you're a person, a coworker, whatever. You won't have a relationship if you're unwilling to communicate on the highest level of communicating with each other. It's not going to happen.
Very few people really are skilled in communicating. Very few of us, and a lot of people who are good talkers, meaning they're intelligent, maybe they know words, they talk a good game, perhaps. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have skill. Some people know how to manipulate with words. Some people know how to intimidate with words. It doesn't mean that they're really good at communicating. And one of the things that I've learned about communicating, and I'm always learning. I think I'm about in the third grade now, so I'm doing a little better. But it's not so much what you say, but where you're coming from. And I noticed, Boom, that when you talked about this couple, you talked about her losing faith in him as if there's some expectation that he should have performed a particular kind of way that might be based on society's idea that the man is the provider, at least of material things and of goods and maybe even of ideologies. So I don't think it's a matter of having faith in somebody, even having faith in God, for example. It's faith from. It's the person themselves. Nobody can make a woman lose faith if it's not in her. So she lost the faith. I wouldn't put it on him if she lost the faith.
No,
But
no, I
back,
didn't put it on him. That's what I was telling him. She somehow, some way, and maybe maybe it just took a little nudge to do it because maybe her parents were the spoiling type of parents where they made sure she had every. I'm not in their house. I didn't grow up with them. I don't know them. I'm just hearing what he was
Mhm,
saying.
mhm,
I was like, you, at some
mhm.
point, we have to begin to step back and look at us and not keep saying, well, she's not, and he's not, and or they're not, that my boss is not. No, it's, if you take a step back and look at you, it might be a reason why
Amen.
this is
Amen.
happening. Just take a
Yes.
step back and look at you. Stop
Mhm.
going outside. We always continue to try to go outside. I'm guilty of the same thing. We try to go outside of what's really going on, and what's really going on is turmoil or chaos within ourselves that we got to figure out, and then say, oh, if I do this over here, if I just concentrate on doing what I need to do for me, all these things will fall into place. That doesn't make you selfish. That makes you aware of what needs to be done. Period. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's just what needs to be done.
Yeah, yeah. Now, getting back to faith and religion, though, faith is a big part of religion, all religions, because there's not proof that some of these people that you might read in the Bible or the Torah or the Quran actually exist. There's no actual proof. There's nothing they can dig up or things like that. I've heard people be on the search for Noah's Ark since the days I was a little kid. Never found anything. So they're faith based, basically meaning that you have to believe that things happen the way they say in this particular book. And so I mean, you lose me there, because science is different. Science can prove that if you do this and that, you'll have this kind of reaction. You do this and that, it'll add up to this. You can't do that with religions, and so they are faith based. Which again, just leave me to this: there's nothing wrong with challenging things. In science, they challenge the results all the time. They challenge the results all the time. There is nothing wrong with questioning something, and so we got to get away from that.
The
Oh,
point
I
is,
have
they don't
faith.
want you to challenge it. They don't want you to challenge it. That's the point.
Who's the they? Who they are we talking about?
Listen, I don't know. Whoever, they don't want you to challenge it. That's why they tell you never question God, never question the Bible, never da 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 da. You're taught that. I guess you could say your parents, grandparents, great grandparents, whoever's teaching to you, they say that all the time.
So what when I figured out that I had different beliefs from a child. So I can't say what they made me believe. One day I listened to my Torah, and even to this day I think that anything that people tell me that's going to make me feel frightened, whether it's Brother Nature wants to talk, whether it's anything that makes me feel frightened, whether it's COVID or the devil, I always consider that I'm being manipulated and that I am allowing myself to be manipulated. Right. So I'm allowing it. So the they is me. We become the they. So as a child, I was able to question what the adults were telling me, even though I understood that it was blasphemy to do something. So Brother
Preach.
Nature, who I happen to know of, I know him. I don't know him, but I know of him. Says he wants to say something. So Brother Natural, why don't you just type in what it is you want to contribute? Is that how it works,
Shout,
guys?
shout out to Rashid. I believe that's our cousin Rashid. Thanks for tuning in. He tunes in to check out the show every now and then. So thanks
Yeah, I went to
Rashid.
try
Oh,
to. I
Brother
saw what
Natural
time.
is Rashid.
I tried to send him a link to get on real quick because I saw what time it was, but I don't think we're
Okay.
social media friends, so I couldn't send
Thanks
him.
for tuning in, Rashid. If we can get you on, we will definitely get you on. I know you got a lot to say. My cousin, he is one of those people who question things a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
I know he would have had a lot to say. And I think it's nothing. I just don't think there's anything wrong with questioning things.
Yeah,
So was
me.
there a turning point, Shaheem, for you? Was there a turning point when you said, this God church thing,
Was it for me?
something's missing? Yeah, was there a turning point?
I think I started questioning. I'm gonna say because I can't say this. There was one day that a switch went on, but I started questioning things. I started questioning things probably early in high school, probably early that early, because I started seeing things happening around church. Like you heard me speak about the hypocrisy. I started seeing things that made me start questioning. And as I started growing older, of course, science starts teaching us about why this does that, why it does that. It made me question things even more until finally I just, you know, came up with the opinion that I have that there's just not this super being out there. There's just not. And because and once I started questioning things and moving in that direction, then I started looking into things. Why does this do that? Why does this that? Because like I said, a lot of things were made by religions were made by early man because they didn't understand things. So I started finding the answers, and I found that most of the answers came from science of why the universe is the way it is. Science will tell you everything, not everything because we don't know everything. That's a ridiculous notion, but science can start to give you a bigger understanding of how the universe works. Not no book, not no magic book. And that's my opinion. You know, so I can't say there was one defining moment, but it over time I came to this conclusion. But I've felt this way for a long time, and trust me when I tell you, my wife, her uncle's a pastor of a church. My stepmother's a pastor of a church. I've known church all my life, and they talk to me all the time. But there's no way that I will ever change my opinions ever, because I believe my opinions are rock solid.
Well, I would encourage you. I'm always suspicious of someone who says, I'm not going to change my opinion
Now,
because we want to grow, right? So um, don't worry. This is not when I come in and say, and Jesus said, and come Jesus. But the idea is that for many people, there's a separation between science and spirit and religion,
oh
but for
yeah,
many people, they're one and the same. So when you look at that sun and you realize that the plants grow toward the sun, even if you live in an apartment building in the city as I do, there's no mistaking that there is some power that is causing the plants to turn to the sun. When DJ Boom is working and he's got that smile on his face, he is like the sun. And I find myself like turning to him. So he does have some sort of inner power. Perhaps he's developed it. Perhaps he's just born with it. But while I am not prepared to say whether the power, whether what we want to call it, whether we want to call it God or the sun, I would say that there is a power beyond what we can know, but which causes us to grow is that we're open and that we don't have to hold on to what we believe, that we can be relaxed about what we believe because there is a lot more to know. What something talk to you, your inner self. What if it's inner tuition? I might call it inner tuition. Some people may call it the higher power. I think that each one of us, this trio here, has a higher power, or if you prefer, intuition, that we're self-taught. But what is it that has caused us to look at things the way we do?
so I
I'm not
believe
prepared to say
I,
what it is, but
no, I believe what they're basically saying is just to have an open mind. People should have an open mind about things
yeah.
until you have the answer. And that's fine. That's what it's all about. But when you believe in a faith or religion, they start to close your thing. They don't want you to have an open mind.
Yeah, but it's not just religion, you see. Our jobs are religion for many people. Education, as Boom said, is a religion for many people. Many people believe in worry. And so they worry. Why do they worry? Because they say, well, I should worry. What else would I do? And then they're worrying. Their faith in worry begets more worry. And then their lives don't improve. So there's a lot of things that we believe, and that's, we believe, many of us believe in salt pork. Many of us believe in smoking cigarettes. I mean, many of us believe in a lot of things. And those things are our job. We believe that the man should have a job, and he is responsible for supporting his family. And if he can't or doesn't, he is not a man. We can't put that on God. I think we could put a lot of this on ourselves.
So I I heard you say the word earlier. You don't consider yourself a Christian. What did
No.
you say then?
Well, I consider myself spiritual. I believe that there is a that the cosmos has wisdom, the same way that the organs in my body has wisdom that can heal me. I don't have to say, "Yo, heart, beat." It beats of its
Right.
own accord. And so I believe that it's not my intellect that's making my heart beat. But if I abuse my heart, then it's going to say, screw you, baby. I'm not going to do anything. But I consider myself spiritual. I am an interfaith minister. And how that shows up for me is I can service people who are Christians, Buddhists, Muslims, Jewish, whether they consider themselves atheists. If they need to reflect on something, if they're needing something that is beyond what they think is their power, that my calling is to sit with them and help them to dig deep into their own wisdom. It doesn't matter to me what it's called. But like I would say to worriers, for example, that I think worrying is very akin to believing in the devil. If you are a worrier, you might do better to believe it's the devil. People believe in mistreating people. People believe, we believe that money will make us happy. There are a lot of things that we believe that we can't put on God. God makes it easy, but it's what we believe, whether it's God or whether we believe in that the dollar will make you happy, or whether we believe that you are of no value if you're a woman, unless you're married and have children. For me to be an unmarried woman without children, believe me, for my family,
Blasphemy. That's
you know,
blasphemy.
it was like something wrong with her. People would say, you know. And I said, I'm not having children because my brother have 9. What do I need children for? I'll just borrow his when I feel like I need one. But there are things that people believe that if I can only find a man, that'll make me happy. How many women have wanted a man? They wanted a man, and they are no happier for it, but yet they believe that. So there's something distorted in their beliefs, and that's what I think we need to question all of our beliefs.
There you go. I feel the same way. Boom. What's your feeling of religion?
I don't have one, so my feelings are almost identical to our Debbie's. It is what it is. At the end of the day, I'm here. I strive every day to be the best version of me that I can be, and that's all that I go by. And
Yeah.
anything happens outside of that. One thing I don't like when people do, if I go and I'm trying to think of something real simple. If I go and do something and people say they want to give the credit to God. God, look at God. I said, no. Look at me. I did that. That no. No. I did that. So I don't like when people say stuff like, look at God. No. Look at me. I did that. I ran that race. I, got out of that burning car myself. Look at God. No. It was me. That was me. So give me my credit. Don't give all my credit. to some being that like whatever that I don't even rock with. So I would call myself spiritual as well. I believe in the universe. So.
I'm gonna say this real fast, and then we're gonna start closing things out. I would just encourage people to have an open mind. Don't fall into into that flock thing. Don't be a sheep because they're probably gonna lead you to the slaughter. Keep an open mind, people. That's what I would encourage you to do. All right, Boom. What you got going on, baby?
You know me, each and every week. I gotta say, my trip to Boston was fantastic. I had so much fun.
Yeah.
People absolutely enjoyed the party. They enjoyed it. They have now officially made me and my crew one of their vendors for all of their events. So I will be traveling all over the country doing events with them now, which is very, very exciting. I am now at Judy's Island Grill on Tuesday nights from 7 to 11, turned all the way up doing karaoke.
Right.
That is downtown Baltimore. Wednesday nights, I am at Loafers here in Catonsville from 8 to 12. I am at the Olive Branch, soon to be the Blue Lagoon, on Thursdays and Saturdays from 7 to 11. Thursday is karaoke. Saturday is R&B night. And it's going to be different themes on Saturdays. I just decided I'm going to start switching things up a little bit. And then Sundays now, tonight is my very first night out at TGI Fridays in White Marsh, DJing out there. So I will be there tonight. Excited to start this new venture tonight. So I'm all over the place.
All right, good. Congratulations, man. Hardest working
Thank
DJ
you.
in the business. Congratulations. Oh, Debbie, what you got going on?
Well, I'm going to steal this moment to say that I will never turn to ashes. And that is because I have loved well enough that I will live through generations to come. And generations from now, they'll be saying, you think something is wrong with you? You had an aunt. She was kind of weird. We call her Aunt Debbie. You just like her. So I'm going to live forever. And I'm teaching an astrology class starting March 28th.
Right. Good. So everybody.
That's Lenitra's birthday.
Whose birthday? I'm sorry.
Lenitra. That's Lenitra's birthday, Auntie.
I don't know who that is.
Auntie should know who that is. That's Grant's daughter.
Grand's daughter, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody, if you want to, if you need a reading, reach out to Aunt Debbie at visioncarriers@aol.com. And I know she'll get back to you. As for me, you all know what I got going on. Other than this long drive from Maryland back to Jersey, my songs are out, my singles are out. So I encourage
That's long
you to
to
go.
you.
To me, as I get up in age, it gets longer and longer.
That is a
My
short
songs,
ride.
Waitlist, and it's on tonight, are available on all streaming platforms. So support your guy. Go out and get those. They're not that expensive, and you'd be helping. So definitely go out, get those singles, heat up your party, and check out everything that I'm doing on therealshaheem.com. It's a totally revamped website now, and I'm sure you're going to like it. So if you're interested in what I'm doing, therealshaheem.com, and you will find out. All right? And then we have it.
All right.
Again, thanks for being with us and sharing your beautiful Sunday with us. We enjoy having you guys in, and we want to wish you a great Sunday. Once again, from the shore to P-More, I am the one and only Shaheem.
The official DJ Boom.
Aunt Debbie.
And we look forward to seeing you guys again next week. All right? Bye. Enjoy your Sundays.